the 5th. It's already the 5th. Do you know what? These weeks, days and months done half go quickly. 2026 already, second half of the season already well in its second phase. So look, first thing to say is get into this amazing community. I'm going to move my light again because it absolutely always bugs the hell out of me. So that's better. Maybe it is better. So look, get into this amazing community. Hands down, this united fan channel, not because of me, because of you guys. You guys are the best community on this platform. Scott, legend, my friend, member for 5 months, absolute awesome legend. Henderson's always been. It's great to find it, mate. I love it. That should be a catchphrase of life every time you walk into a room. I love that. So look, this is the best community on this platform, 100% hands down. Literally built by people, literally built by you guys. So this is completely yours. So for that ends, look, be respectful to the community. If you come into the chat, be respectful to the community. Be respectful to yourselves, because I think some people sometimes do a disservice to themselves when they come online. They're not the same as they are in real life. So look, just be yourself. Be respectful to me. Otherwise, the ban hammer comes out. I don't like to do it. I will do it. The mod will do it as well. And second thing to say is this light is still pissing me off. I don't care anymore. So second thing says, look, I'm not a dictator. I really do read out your opinions and chats. This is why this show takes so long. This is why this show is not like a lot like other channels. It's because I read out your chats. Not expecting super chats in return. This is completely free. This is your show, so get in there completely. And obviously, don't forget to give us a like, favourite, and subscribe. It's the only thing I ask. It's completely free. All you got to do is give us a like, subscribe. It's free, and you can get into this amazing community. Scott says, "Fucking cold up here today." It's cold down here, Scott, but you know it's nothing compared to up there. And obviously, if Scott's saying it's cold, then it must be bloody freezing, because Scott literally walks out the house in -10 in like his pants. So it must be cold for Scott up there. Henderson legend as well. So look, guys, where do we start off the show today? Now, look, I want to say this from the off. Whenever I come up with show ideas, and I come up with shows, and I write stuff down, like. Every show I do, I pretty much go and look. I'm not so well. Must be that. Scott, mate. I hope you're feeling better, buddy. Never nice to feel unwell, mate. But look, I hope Scott is going to feel better, buddy. Much love, buddy. So, whenever I write these shows, right, and I do, right, it's not just. Sometimes I will come on here if it's an evening show, and I'll spitball. But I do write stuff down. There is some structure I've got. You should see the amount of paper that I've got. I print stuff off. I write things down. I pretty much write most of this stuff, right? I write points. We come onto the show. You guys distract me. You guys, and this is the whole point of the show, right? I come in with a show. You guys take it away. That's how it should be. And this week, writing these shows for the first time in a long time, right? People are, again, I get messages all of the time. You're a monio bastard, blah, 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 right? The last 3 weeks that we've been winning games, and I get it. People don't want you to bring down a vibe, right? That's not my intention. Never has been. So when I go into this week, right, and one of the things that I've put down on here today is Ruben says hi. Fenerbahce, yeah, good team, no problem with Fenerbahce. Please don't spam. I don't want you to spam. If you do spam, you'll get blocked. But look, I don't want you to spam. I don't want you to get blocked. Don't spam. It's all good. When I do these shows, like the last few weeks, I've probably been out of the happiest I have with this club. And not because I'm happy with the Glazers. I'm not fooled. But in terms of just moving it away from the football, the Glazer side, happy days, right? We're winning games, and ultimately that's what it's all about. But yeah, I find myself with these shows this week, just I'll give you context, and I'll give you the reason. Best was to get rid of the stuffed nose and the cold. Kante scores for Fenerbahce. The top scorer is Kante from Fenerbahce. Even though Conte isn't a striker, Kante is a defensive midfielder. But if Kante scores, look, Fenerbahce, I've got a good deal there. I think a 34-year-old Kante would do well. So look, when I'm thinking about this week, and I'll give you the context, where winning games, Fulham game wasn't the best. I'm not going to get behind it and start saying this team was amazing, this team was the best. But look, Carragher's got this team playing in a particular way, right? Winning games, how much more positivity can you get than that? And I'm finding myself, look, starting to try to find positives in this team, not in Ineos, the Glazers. I can't stand those fuckers, right? But I'm starting to try to find this positivity, right? Just on my lunch break and about to go back to the office. But De Ligt and Mount injured again. Mason Mount hasn't been fit. I mean, look, I've said this all season. I do not class Mason Mount as a player anymore. Mason Mount is somebody that we've got who plays sometimes. De Ligt is out. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. But Mason Mount, I don't even class him as a player. This is why I barely even mention his name, because I just don't class him. But Herbie, legend. But what I'm finding this week and the previous weeks is the more I try to get behind these players, the more I try not to talk about the players, the ownership, and that sort of stuff, they go and throw it away. This club, these players throw it away every week. Now, I'll give you my reasons why. Look, last week we had these players coming out about an Amorim, talking about how his Scott's Mount and Shaw are friends. Friends! Ah, injury friends! Ah, friends! Breaking news. Mate, look, so apparently, breaking news, Cristiano is going to go to Fenerbahce. Darwin Núñez is at Fenerbahce. Alright, okay. Well done for you. These players last week, again, they do a disservice. Instead of just getting on, winning games, taking the plaudits, getting their heads down and playing games. It's indicative of this club. It's indicative of the owners. It's indicative of these players. You have to blame somebody, right? They have to save their own skin. This is where we are. Instead of enjoying it, taking the plaudits and being like, look, let's just accept the win. They've got to come out and they've got to throw the manager under the bus and say, oh, look, it wasn't us, it was him, he's gone. We've seen this fucking story before, right? The manager's now gone, oh, look, it isn't us, it's him, his coaching was this, blah, 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 blah. Fine. I expect that, right? It's not good, but I expect it. Is Cristiano rumors true, and should he return? Cristiano's going to return. Cristiano is it's not even a thing. Cristiano's back. Cristiano's going to play. Cristiano was having a bit of a sulk, and now he's back. Cristiano is not going to leave. He's staying in Saudi. And then fast forward to this week. Now, what's got my knickers in a twist this week? Because I'm so sick and tired. And again, Kobbie Mainoo, and I'm sure everyone has seen this already. I'm sure it's been out. I've seen some thumbnails about it already. Right? Kobbie Mainoo. So now we've got this rhetoric that apparently Kobbie Mainoo was going to leave. Kobbie Mainoo was going to leave. But thanks to Amorim leaving, and this is what's come out from Fabrizio, and I'm going for Fabrizio this morning as well. Fabrizio and the club. Fabrizio putting it out there, that, and this is briefed from the club. Fabrizio doesn't do it for free. Fabrizio's now having to basically go and pay what he owes because this club gives him stuff, and now he has to pay back the club, irrespective of what his brain cell, irrespective of what this club puts out. Because, you know, yesterday's news is yesterday's news, and people always forget what people say. I don't. That apparently, if Amorim had been here, Mainoo was going to leave. Mainoo would have been sold. Bullshit. Now, let's get on to Fabrizio, right? You know, I'm on here and I talk about Will Cox, I talk about people, I talk about channels, right? Not in name, but I talk about people that spin out this shit, clickbait shit bollocks, and people who that is the sort of thing that they do, right? But then you've got people that are in the industry. Look, no one's ever going to listen to me over Fabrizio Romano, right? No one's ever going to listen to me over an Ornstein. These two are the two main guys, right? Now, Fabrizio, in terms of his transfer stuff, he's very, very good. Fabrizio is the mouthpiece of clubs. I'm going to allege this because if I say it's true and it's alleged, you know, look, and again, if I get questioned on this, feel free. What is that top, JB? This is the 1990 to 92 season home kit. So this is the home one that matches. I'll show you. Hang on. This kit is the home kit to this away kit. So this is the home to this away kit. This particular one is I think it's 1989 or 1990 to 92. So it's 1991, 92 season. Last at least this one before the recent ones. Yeah, it's the it is. Yeah, it's the one before they changed to Umbro. It's the one before the laces kit. Love this kit. Amazing. So Fabrizio Romano, look, I'm not doing this for clicks, right? I'm doing this because I'm pissed off. Because people don't get called out, right? So what we've got in the media, and look, let's take Amorim away from this equation, right? Let's take him out of this for a second. You've got Fabrizio that people listen to, right? You know, millions of followers, people drop off of his every word, right? But what gets missed, and we all talk about Danny, legend of the chat. We all talk about other people, but why don't Fabrizio? Why don't the YouTube channels? Why don't channels call out a David Ornstein? Why don't they call out a Fabrizio? And this is why these people get away with it. It's because these people want them on their shows. They want Fabrizio to come on. So you guys are going to watch and listen to Fabrizio Romano tell you about all bits and pieces. Never mind the fact that Fabrizio now is doing the bidding of the Glazers. You know, Fabrizio isn't pulling this stuff out of his arse. He is putting out there, and it is out there, basically saying this morning that Kobbie Mainoo was going to leave if Amorim was still here. And the reason why it bothers me so much, it is because it is a load of bullshit. And this feeding into this blame culture that the Glazers, this is all about moving away. Now, the fact that United are doing reasonably well, they've won 3 games, by the way, that they're distancing themselves from everything that apparently was making making this club bad. Now, look, you know, I know we're scoring goals and we're winning games, but people seem to forget when Amorim was here, our XG, and I'm not the biggest fan of XG talk, but our XG, we were 3rd in the Premier League for creating goals. We just couldn't score. Dino is in the house, absolute legend. So now what we're getting is what we always get, and this is what it bugs me. People like Fabrizio in bed with the Glazers, and this guy, and Fabrizio Romano, I'll tell you exactly what he is. Fabrizio Romano comes across as this as this nice guy, comes across as this little nice guy, who's he's everybody's mate, everybody's friend. He comes on and he's happy. For Fabrizio Romano, he's basically the school snitch. That's exactly what he is. Fabrizio Romano is not doing this. He doesn't do this out of the goodness of his heart. This is his fucking job, right? People listen to Fabrizio, and I don't care. Fabrizio gets told stuff. That's his job. That's how a man has to eat. But where I will not accept, I will absolutely not accept it, when I know that this club is talking out of its absolute arse and Fabrizio is being the mouthpiece of the spin and the bullshit that comes out of this club. Now, I shall tell you for why, in my humble view, and you guys can tell me to shut up. I have no doubts that people will tell me, Fabrizio knows more than you do, blah, 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 blah. He does. But Fabrizio also spins on behalf of this club, spins on behalf of this club. Now, it was put out there today that basically that if Amorim had have stayed, Kobbie Mainoo wouldn't be here, right? And the Napoli talks had advanced. So basically, and these are his words. These are Fabrizio is a little weasel. I think Fabrizio is the school snitch, basically. And Fabrizio can't escape from this. These are his words. People will ignore it, but these are his words. Basically, that if Kobbie Mainoo had stayed, then if Amorim had stayed, Kobbie Mainoo would not have been here. He was in advanced talks with Napoli. I don't doubt that bit is true, right? But Fabrizio, mate, we know you're lying. We know you're talking out of your ass, because the club statement, the very club statement, and this is what I talk about spin and this club lies, is because the rhetoric was always been, and we've put this out there, not because I was told this, but just because this is what the club said, that Kobbie Mainoo wasn't for sale under any circumstances. That is what the club put out all the way through. It was obvious in the industry that Napoli put in a bid for a Kobbie Mainoo. That was out there. Kobbie Mainoo didn't want to leave. United were pushing it out there, but Kobbie Mainoo wasn't going to leave. Amorim said it himself. Wilcox said it himself. This club said it themselves, that Kobbie Mainoo was not going to leave. They were going to try to make him sign a new contract. Was Kobbie Mainoo pushing for a move? Possibly, but that is not the same as if Amorim was here. So let's take those two things. Right? Amir says up United. So let's take those things here. So December, we've got the club saying that Kobbie Mainoo isn't for sale. There's uproar. There is the free Kobbie Mainoo shirt. Whether or not it was anything to do with him, irrespective, doesn't matter. Right, I wasn't a fan of Ruben as our manager. He made silly decisions and used Mainoo as a scapegoat. Look, Amir, mate, one thing I'll say on this channel, buddy, I will read out your opinion. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Even if you don't agree, I think it's important. And that's your view. I'm not going to disagree with your view. I disagree with you. I disagree that Amorim. I disagree that Amorim used. I disagree that Amorim used Mainoo as a scapegoat. I should tell you for why. I don't believe that Mainoo was up to standard at the beginning of the season. If anybody wants to have that debate, I'm absolutely fine to have that debate. Kobbie Mainoo was not up to standard, and I should tell you for why. Look, any game that he played. And we can argue, he needs some game time. He needed a run of games to play. And look, I'm not going to. This is not a whether Kobbie Mainoo was right, whether this is an Amorim was right or wrong. I'll give you my view. This is just us having a chat, right? Mainoo got his chance against a Grimsby. Then Mainoo got injured, but don't forget, it wasn't Amorim who was. It wasn't an Amorim who was trying to scapegoat a Mainoo. It was the media who were creating a narrative. Mainoo in this system, and let's not forget this, Amir, mate, and I am not trying to make you change your mind. You've got your views and I've got mine. It's just that I am the one that gets to talk, right? Is Amorim was brought in to play a system. Not Amorim's fault, by the way. And Amorim came in to play the system. And Kobbie Mainoo, at that point in time, wasn't deemed good enough to play for the system. Kobbie Mainoo had a couple of chances. The Grimsby game, Kobbie Mainoo was awful. Look, people can say in that game, he didn't have a run of games, blah, 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 blah. But fundamentally, if you've been to a Euros final, right? You play for the biggest club in the world, and you can't go to Grimsby and you can't boss the midfield. That's all I'm saying. We had one game a week, and are you telling me? And this is the question that I'm gonna put there. I get told all of the time the sun shines out of Bruno Fernandes' arse. I get told he's one of our greatest players of all time. I get told that Fernandes is the most amazing player. That's your view, right? I'm not gonna, dissuade anybody from having that view. Amorim decided, and the club backed him on this, was to play Bruno Fernandes in the 8. Wrong or right, that's what he decided to do. My question to you then is, are you picking who wins between Bruno Fernandes and a Kobbie Mainoo? Because whether people like it or not, and again now people are arguing that Cunha's a great signing and Mbeumo's a good signing. I'm not disagreeing with that, by the way. So people now can't pick and choose and say that Cunha is suddenly an amazing signing and Mbeumo is this amazing signing. Those are the two players that United bought, and Amorim was using those in his system as the 2 10s. So which means that Bruno Fernandes had to drop back to an 8. One game a week, and one game a week wasn't Amorim's fault. One game a week was a failure on this club to get games. So with one game a week, not everybody can go into the squad. Now what I'm saying here is in terms of the player choices, let's take out ability for a second. Who's going to play in this system? And you've got to acknowledge this. Who's going to play in this system as an 8? Bruno Fernandes or Kobbie Mainoo? Fernandes. So it wasn't an agenda. I just don't believe that Kobbie Mainoo's head was in the right space. I just don't believe that there was enough games to play. So look, whether or not we think Amorim or whoever or not, the fact that Fabrizio Romano has said if Amorim had have stayed, and these are his words, well, Fabrizio can't bullshit his way out of this one because it's all there. Fabrizio's saying that if Kobbie Mainoo had have stayed, if Amorim had have stayed, Kobbie Mainoo would not be here. It is a load of bollocks. It is an absolute load of shit. The club itself basically said that Kobbie Mainoo was not for stay when Amorim was here. Amorim was trying to get him into this side, and the only reason he didn't play more games is because he got himself injured. He was injured twice. So, and this is exactly what I mean about this club and this window and this absolute spin. And now we've got people like Fabrizio, and I don't give a shit. I will call this shit out. I don't care if look, Fabrizio is not going to come on my show for clicks. David Ornstein, I'll never lick these guys' asses. I've got nothing to hide. I don't get paid for doing this. I certainly do not do this for clicks. Unlike Fabrizio, unlike all of these other people who are spinning their bullshit about this, today for me is just enough. When we've got a week between games, instead of just going through the week and looking forward to the game, doing a preview for the game, looking forward to Spurs, putting positivity out. This club has to twist in the knife. They have to twist in the knife. What is the benefit? What is the benefit today for United briefing Fabrizio? And what is the benefit to Fabrizio in putting out something that's a lie? Putting out something that is not true. Putting out something that this club in itself said that Kobbie Mainoo was not going to be sold. The club said that themselves. Kobbie Mainoo was not for sale, but yet now Amorim has gone. And we're talking, and just in there, Amir, look, I'm not disrespecting that opinion. The club are using Amorim as a scapegoat. The players are. Everything now is going to be pushed onto an Amorim, just in case we don't qualify for the top four. They're using him because United are playing well. Any last ounce of juice that they can squeeze from a lemon, and Amorim is their lemon or their lime. They're literally squeezing every ounce of juice they can to save their own fucking skin, and it is just absolutely disgusting. So let me get on to chat. I'm interested to see what you guys have got to say on this one. Let's do it. Unpopular opinion: Greenwood would be our main player, and maybe one of the best ever if he wasn't a stupid moron of a person. Look, I don't think it's an unpopular opinion, right? Do I think that Greenwood was a good look? Whether or not, look, it's like this. Right? People can be good at a job, right? But shitty human beings, right? Just because let's just say, I don't know, you cheat on your wife or your husband, right? You're not a nice person, but you're a good plumber, right? You're a good bricky. Not that I'm picking on them, by the way. Just because you do that stuff doesn't mean you're not an amazing player. Doesn't mean you're not the best plumber in the entire world. You could be the best plumber. Everybody is calling your name when you walk down the street in the plumbing trade. You are the Messi of plumbers, right? But doesn't mean you're not a human being. So Greenwood, for me, do I think he would be one of our main players? Yes, but I don't just want one main player. I think my opinion on it is, whilst that could be true, I don't want one good player. You know, if that was the case, Greenwood, I'd want him as our main player. Bruno as our main player. Kobbie Mainoo. Now, I want 6 main players. This whole concept to me, and I promise you, I'm not disrespecting the opinion. This player FC stuff as to who's going to be the best player in this team. If I was a club, I would move away from this best player stuff. Look, every player is a brand. I get that. But this whole notion of one player being our main man, if Greenwood was our main man and we had fuck all else, it doesn't matter. You know, Fernandes, I'm gonna use that example, because the reason why I'm gonna use that example is because I get told all of the time I don't know shit. Bruno Fernandes is this amazing player, the best player ever, right? Bruno Fernandes is our main man, right? What's he won? He's won Carling Cup or Carabao Cup, a League Cup, and an FA Cup. Like, this is what I mean. I've got no problem. I think your opinion is a valid one, but I want to move away from a one superstar player. Fabrizio is the ultimate spin master. He didn't fit Amorim's system. Amir said no disagreement with another United fan. I'm a red. Look, Amir, mate, I promise you, buddy, you've got to disagree. My friend, you've got to disagree. I promise you, mate, I am not here to tell you that your opinion's wrong. This platform is for you to have your opinions. If I talk about your opinion. It's not because I'm trying to call your opinion out. It literally is because you spark off something in my mind. We can disagree, but I mean, mate, you don't need to agree with me. It doesn't mean that I'm right. It's just an opinion. Opinions are like an arsehole. Everybody has one, and sometimes I am the biggest arsehole. Dragon says, hello. JB, do you think Amorim was a case of a bad timing or bad fit? Dino, I think... I'll tell you why I don't think it's bad timing. I'll tell you why, right? I tell you what I don't think it is, right? I think conceptually, Scott, I think you're spot on. This is why I don't think it's the timing is bad. Because the Glazers are going to be here for 20 more years. Like, we'd have to wait for 20 years for Amorim to be the right guy. That's what I mean. Was the timing bad in terms of, do I think that Amorim is a good coach? Yes. Do I think that he could have done something with the proper backing? Yes. But the time frame for him to get the backing would be so long. Timing football would transcend his style of play. And so for me, because of the amount of time that it would take for Amorim or to get an ownership in here that would be competent to back an Amorim, I don't think, for me, I wouldn't go with timing, because let's just say if it was a case of, I don't know, we knew Saudi or whoever were going to buy the club in 2 years' time, right? And Amorim is not here anymore, and then you could argue, who's to say that's not going to happen? But, conceptually, I agree with the timing comment, but I don't, because I don't think there is no amount of time that Amorim would have got to get his players. As he said, love it. Amorim is a great coach. I don't disagree. So Broderick says, are you a journalist? You have the look and sound of one. No, I'm not. I'm not, my friend. I'm just I just read a lot. I just read a lot of stuff. I consume a lot of stuff. I followed football for 38 years. I read lots and lots of stuff. I also retain a lot of stuff. It isn't a fan's job. It isn't your job. It isn't my job to basically look at the back end stuff, right? But because of the way that my brain works, and I've always been the same way, I always question. I question every single thing, right? Sometimes my memory is awful, but when it comes to certain topics, I can remember every single thing. So look, football for me has always been a passion. I've been following this club for 30 odd years. Football-wise, I mean, I was there at the inception of the Premier League. You could probably argue my modern day, as much as I still follow football, my modern day overall view is probably not as good as it was then. But look, I followed this game for a long, long time, and I just question everything. I remember what people say. I'll go back. I'll investigate. But thank you, mate. Okay. Okay. Amy says, Bruno is world class and should always be a number 10, but whoever starts for our team should only play based on performance, not based on their star name. And Amir, mate, I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Bruno Fernandes, I'm not here today to pass an opinion on Bruno Fernandes today. Look, this is not about him today. But look, I don't disagree with anything that you said. I think people have their opinion. Bruno Fernandes, I don't necessarily share that opinion in full. But I agree with you, Amir. I agree with you. I think players should be based on the performances. Agreed. Yeah, Scott, look, mate, if anybody's giving you disrespect, Scott, chuck him out, buddy. Bruno's literally the Ballon d'Or contender if he keeps his form up and Portugal wins the World Cup. Spotify, mate. Look, again, I smile, mate, because I think people's opinions are fascinating, right? I think people watch football in a different way, right? Spotify, I love comments like that because it's such a different opinion to mine, but it doesn't mean that people don't share your opinion, right? As you said it, and I like the opinion. I think it's a very brave opinion. Please tell me, because I don't understand this, how Bruno Fernandes is a Ballon d'Or contender this season. I don't get it. Bruno Fernandes has been, and I'm going to be polite here, has been hit and miss all season. He's been good for 2 games. Fulham game, I mean, he was all right. He made some good assists. But other than that, he wasn't really in the game. Even if Bruno was to win the World Cup, which they won't do, why does Bruno get the Ballon d'Or? I don't get it. He's not even been the best player in his club this season. We've gone out of the Carabao Cup or whatever it's called now to a Grimsby, gone out of the FA Cup. He's been, I'd argue this with anybody, he's our worst captain that we've ever had. He's not been great all season. He's been in and out all season. I don't. If you're talking about his current form in terms of he's had 2.5 good games in the last 5 or 6, if that's Ballon d'Or contend, if a Ballon d'Or contender means you've got a player that plays decent for once every 4 games, I would hate to see the contenders this year. Live long Barca, live long Catalonia, says Brat. We've got Scott. I think we've got them all in today, buddy. I think we've got them all in today. Sky says hi, hello Sky. Stephanie says hello, Stephanie. Hope you're doing extremely well. Legend, of course. Ray Simpson said afternoon. Unknown says, why is he talking about being a good person? Who is he talking about? I'm late to the party. What's Romano saying? So look, Romano again. I'll give it again. I will. So Fabrizio Romano, and look, I know people love Fabrizio. I'm not here to tell you who to like. I'm not here to tell you that Fabrizio's information isn't right, because it most of the time is. He has coined a phrase. Fantastic. It doesn't mean to say that Romano is infallible. Doesn't mean to say that Romano is perfect. And when it comes to this club today, Romano is helping this club spin. And people may or may not enjoy to hear that. But Fabrizio is a guy who doesn't do this for free. Fabrizio is a guy that gets fed things from the club. And in exchange, I'm alleging this, in exchange, it seems to me that he then has to do the bidding of the Glazers. And look, Fabrizio, this is his job. He's not going to do it for free. The man's got to eat, right? If you're comfortable at night to do that, happy days. But the fact remains, what Fabrizio is putting out today is lies, is bollocks, is total spin. And nobody will call him directly out for this. Look, I don't. Look, one of the things I'll always try to do on this channel is be true. I will not hold back. Just because I'm scared in case somebody won't come on to the show, in case the show gets a little bit bigger, and in case Fabrizio Romano or Ornstein won't come onto the channel and chat to me and give me updates and stuff. That's not what this is about, right? I don't get paid for doing this. The channel makes no fucking money at all, right? I will not lie. But I will also call out the bullshit. And Fabrizio Romano today, look, I keep losing respect for these people. Fabrizio Romano, let's be clear, millions of followers. He knows more than me in terms of, you know, he's got players he knows, people he calls, transfer stuff, amazing. But that doesn't exempt you from talking bullshit. It doesn't exempt you from lying from this club. And again, the Glazers, this is what they constantly do. They've got Fabrizio putting it out there today. And again, instead of this club this week just focusing on the games, instead of focusing on winning fucking games and just being positive. Positivity Street. I'm more than happy to live down Positivity Street for a week. You get paid today, says my friend Jimmy C's, mate, legend. Look, what can I say, buddy? You are an absolute legend. Super chat, mate. Look, absolute legend, buddy. Mate, you are a legend. I can't thank you enough, buddy. And look, it always blows my mind that people are willing to chat and also do it super chat. And Jimmy is an absolute legend. So today, when I write these shows, right, I don't write these shows because I want to come on it and start complaining. I want this week to be I want this week to be easy, right? I want this week to flow through. We go to Spurs, we beat Spurs, on to the next game, on to West Ham, on to the Toffees. Let's go and get 5 wins in a row. But no. Let's take a week and let's stab Amorim again. Let's take a week and let's blame somebody else. And this is not me doing this. This is this club that has not only spun us around. And I'll tell you as well, because apparently we were going to sign a midfielder. And again, this has come from Fabrizio. And I'll tell you all that as well. So Fabrizio is part of the problem. And Fabrizio said this, and he can't hide from it. He said, if Amorim had have stayed, Kobbie Mainoo wouldn't be here. Right? The Napoli deal was advancing. Romano, you're fucking lying, mate. Look, I can't be dealing with this whole, no. The club said in December, the club has already remained true to this. Kobbie Mainoo was never for sale. Kobbie Mainoo was never going to go. Yes, Kobbie Mainoo wasn't getting into the squad. I'm not making this shit up. The club said that Kobbie Mainoo was staying. They never had any intentions. Xerxes was exactly the same, but no one's talking about Xerxes. Xerxes was exactly the same. Xerxes, Kobbie Mainoo, Ugarte was rumoured to leave, right? Ugarte wasn't playing under an Amorim, but if Amorim had been here, Ugarte, he would have been sold. Like, Amorim got sacked because he asked for players. Amorim got sacked because he asked for players and he dared went against the club. The club literally said Kobbie Mainoo was not for sale. And yet, on the 5th, we're getting Kobbie Mainoo was going to leave. No wonder that this fan base is in the state that it's in. Why do people like Fabrizio Romano, why do people like Wilcox, the Glazers, the club, think that you guys are thick? Why do they think that this fan base is so stupid? And look, I maybe it annoys me too much, right? But as a fan and as somebody that talks to you guys on here, you guys give me the time of day. We have these conversations, right? You guys have said in the past, I've said this as well, that Kobbie Mainoo isn't going to go. We have these intelligent, logical chats, right? My problem with this is that there are fans around the world. Just because we have seen this news, there are many, many fans that don't, right? We had somebody on here yesterday's stream or the day before talking about asking if Dorgu is going to play, right? They didn't know that Dorgu was injured, right? Not because they're stupid, because they just didn't know. So if you're a young kid, you're a young fan, you believe it or not, there are people that don't get to consume news every single day because either they're working extremely hard, they don't have access to it, they're in a country that doesn't allow it, and the only thing they get is bits and pieces. And if you're the club and you're driving a rhetoric, right? This club is now is trying to drive a rhetoric that Amorim is responsible for this mess, and Kobbie, the fans were screaming for a Kobbie Mainoo. That basically, if Amorim had been here, the evil coach who apparently now is public enemy number one, if he was here, Kobbie Mainoo would have gone. Like, how stupid do people think we are? Literally the week before last, Kobbie wasn't going to go. This whole window, Kobbie was never going to go. December, he was never going to go. And we've now got people who are prominent in the industry, that people are active. Now, the guy's been followed by millions of people, right? And irrespective of whether you're an Amorim fan, whether you're Amorim in or Amorim out, whether you like the Glazers, whether you don't, whether you're Ineos in, so Jimmy in, you love the club, the facts are, these are the cold hard facts. It's a bit like me saying this pen is red, right? This pen isn't red, it's green, unless you're colorblind, right? But I do think the majority of people would say that this pen is green. It's like me now trying to argue that this pen is red. All right, the facts are the pen's green. Doesn't matter if this pen is over here or over here. The fact remains that this pen is green. United put out there Kobbie Mainoo was not for sale. Those were the words of the club. Facts. I'm not making it up. It's out there. The club said Kobbie Mainoo was not for sale. And because of the transfer window was shit, because we're skint, by the way, we've got no cash. And again, this channel has been talking about this as well. We've got no fucking money. We've been talking about this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. The club has got no cash, even when the club was spinning some other bullshit. The facts remain that Kobbie Mainoo was never going to be sold. But yet today, we've got one of the most prominent football experts people who have been briefed and in bed with United, spinning a rhetoric that Ruben Amorim, if he'd have been here, Kobbie Mainoo would not have been here. I'm sorry, I'm not having that shit. That is absolutely total and utter bollocks. And Romano should be fucking ashamed of himself. I think Fabrizio should be. I get that there are things that people do for money, right? I've never done anything shady for money, but I'm sure people have, right? But can you honestly look at yourself in the mirror? Or how low do you have to feel about a fan base to literally put something out that you know is bullshit? To put some, and the reason why this is so important, and I'm banging on about it, is because many of you people will believe what Fabrizio puts out there. Fabrizio is a prominent guy, and people believe, they hang off of his every word. When he talks about a transfer, people believe him. This is why the guy's got millions and millions of followers. And when somebody like that now starts spinning for this club, and we know what this club is, then we're lost. We're lost because so many people will follow Fabrizio's advice, and he's lying. For want of a better word, you can call it spin. I am alleging this, but he's lying. He is lying. This says, let me get on to the chats. To be fair, definitely is spin. However, there's a lot of truth in it for once, because even when he say he didn't loan with so many in Jan, I reckon Amorim would have pushed for a sale in the summer. Greenwood shit the bed off field, and there are consequences. It's a shame because he could have been a mega thrust, but I don't want him back. A messy plumber is a wet plumber. It's true. With that being said, he had so many I might just retired from watching football. Is he talking about Greenwood? Is he in favour of having him back? Hot take. One of Ray's hot takes. Reliance on one player isn't healthy, whoever it is. I do agree. Afternoon, haven't said well done to United for catching us up. Paul Swansea Villa, legend, my friend. Ray says Bruno is the best in the team. I think if he was at Madrid or City, he would be in the shadow. He would be in the shadows. He's a good player, but I think he's sellable and replaceable. I don't think, mate. I don't think that is a hot take. I agree with you. Players, whether we like it or not, are people who are looked up to, especially for children. Clubs have a responsibility to promote good values, which should be reflected in the players and squad choice. I really appreciate your consistency. That's why I subbed. Thanks, buddy. How old are you? What, me? I'm 42, mate. Premier League, I'm not going to do that just yet. JB is 78 years old. Close, mate. Preferred Anthony over Ahmad. We should only be concerned with the manager, first team players. Ownership and board were never discussed back in the day. I do agree with you. Agatha says hi. Afternoon, JB. Afternoon, Scott. It's definitely legend of the chat. Ekitike or Shesko should be an easy answer. I don't think it is. Who do? What you're trying to do there is you're trying to railroad me into an answer, right? I'm going to categorically say this. Ekitike at the moment is in better form. I think Shesko is the better player. Grealish was in a top 6 club and stand by that opinion. Bruno is a good player in a bad team and isn't our captain. Bruno owes us a big performance against Spurs. I do agree. If Bruno breaks that assist record, he could definitely be considered for the Prem player of the season. The Ballon d'Or thing isn't a bad shout, but that's just due to how pathetic the trophy is. Messi won it back-to-back, and the second one because he won the World Cup. Hello, afternoon. How is it? Everyone doing? Sky Legend, he's talking cash for clickbait. Exactly. Please, could you send me one jersey, shop brand? No. No. Because I'm not a charity. No. I'm a Silk fan who is a soft spot for United. Whilst I can see Bruno is important to the team, I still have a memory of him asking to be taken halfway through the 7-0 loss at Anfield. Please, if you get big, don't have the spoofers on here, mate. Henderson, I one thing I will promise you on this channel, right, is if this channel gets to any size where I can create content full time, I want this to be different, right? I do not want the usual fucking suspects on here because because they because they're the gateway into the world of United, right? No, but Henderson, that is probably why this channel will probably never get too big for his boots, is because people don't like people like me, and not because I'm such an amazing guy, not because I'm so great and this channel is so amazing. People don't like people like me because I don't tolerate bullshit. I won't just suck on someone's teat to get me a click. I won't just suck on someone's teat. I won't suck on anything unless it's a sweet. Even then, it's got to be the right sweet. I will not be persuaded or dissuaded and have my views changed to get anywhere in life. And maybe that will hinder me. Always clickbait, bud. Yeah. The news from about is no news. I'm going to Spurs match, hoping for another win. Like the shirt, yeah. This shirt reminds me of being a kid. This one. Carlos says hi, hello Carlos. My son wants to play for United, but he's happy that he's been given a chance to try for Chelsea. He understands this could be the best chance he could ever get. Some kids I'd like to, and that's exactly it, Sky. Right, that is exactly it. Right, I hope your son, Sky, he can be the biggest United fan in the entire world, and there's nothing wrong with having an aspiration to play for the club, right? But I would always encourage him, if he's going to sign for a Chelsea and he plays for a Chelsea, do your job. And I'm sure he will. It doesn't matter if you get an opportunity to do that, Scott. I'd love that for him. I think that'd be such a fantastic opportunity. And if it's a Chelsea, look, he's got to do it. He's got to do it. It's because of you, mate. You don't censor yourself. That's why I'm here. Thanks, buddy. Most importantly, stop corrupting the officials. Can you come on, you just says Carl. Romano could smell shot and spin it off as gold. We are lifting the title. Right now, do we think we need a world-class wing back and a decent CM? I don't think we need a wing back. I think we're going to go to a 4-4-2. I think we need, you can argue a wing back. I think we need 2 centre midfielders. I'd argue 3. I think forward line, I think we're fine. If Bruno Fernandes decides to stay, fine. I think we need 2 CMs, possibly 3, and a left and or a right back and a striker. That's where I'm at. Goldbridge exposed TalkSport by saying they will have a meeting before a show and see how to get their views and reactions. And look, the more people expose the truth, the better, right? So look, I'm not going to keep banging on about it because, again, in the chat, we all know, right? But it just annoyed me today. I mean, no disrespect, but Dalot is sometimes not consistent. Is not consistent, mate. I'm not his biggest fan. Dalot this season, the biggest praise that I will give him this season, I don't think he is consistent. It is no disrespect at all. And he uses bots as well for views, says Scott. I don't think it is. A Dalot for me this season, I agree with you, Vincent. I don't think he's great. I don't think he is. I don't think that Dalot has been great. But what I will say, and I will defend him on this, Dalot has been available. So if we get to a top 4, Dalot has played his part, and he has to have that respect. I don't think he's been perfect. I don't think he's a title-winning player. But I agree with you. I want to see a better, more accomplished right back. But Dalot, if we get top 4, he's got to have respect. Ray says, hot take, I like Goldbridge. I don't think he is as bad as possible as he says. He's just a businessman, whether you like it or not. And look, Ray, mate, I am. It is not a hot take to me, buddy. I have no opinion on Mark Goldbridge. I will have an opinion from the things I get sent on the clips. But look, it would be remiss of me to say anything bad. I don't know him, right? I don't like, and again, it would probably be remiss of me to talk in depth about the channel because I don't watch the channel. I get sent clips, and I'm fully aware, by the way, that people can be misconstrued on clips. I'm sure if you clip me up, I'm sure I'd look like a right twat. I'm not suggesting that he is, by the way. So look, people have their opinions. I'm sure people call me a wanker, and fine. I generally have no opinion on it. I've had a few opinions on some of the thumbnails that they put out. It doesn't mean that that's an aspersion on the people or on a person. I do think some of the people and their views, but that's their views. But I'm sure, at the end of the day, they're all nice people. Just because you do a job doesn't mean that you're a bad person. By the way, I'm subscribing, says Vincent. Look, Vincent, thank you, my friend. Always let me know if you guys are going to subscribe. I will happily give you a shout out on that. But look, Mark Goldbridge, the one thing that I will say on it is look, you've got to respect the hustle. One thing, there are two. Well, you've got to respect the hustle, right? The one thing that I will say, I don't watch the channel, but the one thing I will say, you can't help but know who he is. You can't help but know who the channel is. Look, I admire the hustle, right? You know, perhaps I should sit down one day and actually watch a video. But from the outside looking in, you've got to respect the hustle. You know, look, somebody who's started something, and doesn't matter whether they've had help, blah blah blah, right? You can't put the amount of content that they do. You can't build a subscriber base like that without hard work. So irrespective, as I say, right, you could be the twattiest person in the entire world. Doesn't mean that he is. You could be the worst person, right? But it doesn't mean that you're not good at your job. So look, again, I'm not suggesting he's not a good person. And look, people love his channel. He is. This channel will never get to that size, and it's all good. It's all good. I think people can like more than one person. You can like Mark Goldbridge. You can like me. You can hate me. Like the thing is, what I will say is that I think people are spoiled for choice. I think there are so many different good people out there as well, that you guys are spoiled for choice. But you know, hopefully you give us the time of day as well, which I know you guys do because you're all legends. Ekitike or Shesko, I've already answered that, buddy. I think they're very Ekitike. I think they're both very. I think they're both very hit and miss. I think Ekitike started off well. I think Ekitike has been good. I think he's been good. I'd argue that Ekitike is probably having a more consistent season than Shesko. Shesko has been out injured as well. But I genuinely think there isn't loads between them. If you're asking me a question and I'll give you an answer, I think that Ekitike has been the more consistent, but I would take a Shesko because he's a United player. So I don't see Ekitike so far ahead that I would go, oh, it has to be him. If it was like, I don't know, a season where Haaland was getting 36 goals a season, and then you're asking me the difference, you know, if Ekitike was banging in 25 goals a season and Shesko was doing it with 6, then fine, then you'd have an argument. But I don't think there's so much of a gap that you could go Ekitike is that much better than Shesko. So if Arsenal win the league, I'm moving to Mars because AFTV will be unbearable. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Imagine if AFTV win the league, even though they've not won it for 22 years. Can you imagine? Oh my God, I can't even do it. I can't, Ray. I can't, mate. It will be unbelievable. Like, I'm not opposed to Arsenal winning the league. I'm not opposed. Easy one. I'd sell Shesko and I'd keep Cunha. I would. They'd be unbearable. I know some Arsenal fans who are brilliant, right? As Henderson says there, they're unbearable if they lose. They're unbearable if they win. It is just unreal. Nothing beats the 90s Prem tops. Adidas have started releasing Newcastle's tops from the 90s. Jack, mate, I love these shirts. And the best thing about this is I don't get it from the club either, so you know that's awesome. Ray says, "Men, speak out. You're not alone. Please don't suffer alone. To talk to somebody, don't hold it in. If you just cry. Don't be afraid to open it." And Ray, look, mate, I love that, buddy. I'll Ray. I'll tell you a story, right? And the reason why for me that's so important for me, and I absolutely agree, Ray, is if you've watched the channel before, I've mentioned it before, but not really, you know. But Ray, as you've mentioned it, mate, about 2 and a bit years ago, I nearly wasn't here anymore. You know, there are things that have happened to me. And look, I am just going to go different for a second. I'm not going to do it for long, but look, as Ray has mentioned it, I think it's really, really important. That there are things that have happened to me in life. I'm very, very fortunate to be where I am, but there are things that have happened to me. I do suffer from mental health. I mean, look, you know, mental health can be all sorts of stuff. And things that have happened to me in the past, and I got to a point in life where I never spoke about it. I didn't want to speak about it. You know, as a father, it almost sometimes gets worse because you think that you've got to be strong for your children. You know, men are taught that you shouldn't cry. You know, men of a certain age. You know, I come from an era where you know, it's not so bad now, but you come from an era where you got to be strong, and all the trauma of the past, you know, being a dad, everything else, and I got to a point where I didn't want to be here anymore. I was very, very close, and I didn't want to be here anymore, and it was only because of luck. It was just because of luck, and I managed to get help, and life is fucking hard. And look, and ever since then, I vowed that I would. You know, it's still not easy, and I still suffer from mental health, but you know, it's important. And the one reason I do this as well, by the way, is because one of the reasons I started to do this as well, by the way, was because it helps me. Like, it genuinely helps me. So, you know, so this is why I'd always thank you guys for being here, because this is literally for me like therapy. This is doing something that I love, doing something with people that are amazing. And not everybody is amazing. You do get absolute plonkers, but this is why when I say nothing phases me, this is nothing compared to some of the things that I've been through, compared to some of the things, you know, I nearly wasn't here. When you're nearly not here anymore, everything else in life is a piece of piss. So, you know, look, I fully support, you know, men's stuff. You know, I am a massive advocate of men's health as well. So look, you know, guys, I think Ray as well, I know this show's taken a slightly different turn, but look, you know, I think it's important. And as Ray says, you know, it's important. And if you do ever feel like that, look, my email is there. Feel free to contact me. I can put you in touch with some people. But Ray, mate, 100%, it's true. Roblox. Realistically, if United sign Baleba, how much is too much? I think that anything above 70 at the moment, I think is too much. I think you should be talking around 60, 65. Do you play fantasy football? I did. I haven't played it this season, but I do play it. Do you do my head in? Got a personality. You do my head in. Got a terrible personality. Going to see if I can make it so you don't pop up anymore. Interesting. Don't worry, buddy. Interesting. Nice. That's right, mate. I'm just gonna add you. I'm just gonna add you to my list. But MITP Media. The best thing when people comment on here from their own accounts is they forget they've got to be on this platform to comment, right? So we'll see, mate. We'll see. You do my head in, brilliant, mate. You sound like my wife. You sound. Are you sure, MITP? You are not my wife. I do your head in, and my personality is awful. You sound like my wife. Sorry, it was in my head and going to Men United tonight. No, Ray, don't apologise, buddy. So Jamie says, I play in Fantasy League. Brock says, mental health does not discriminate. It can affect anybody. Big up for being an advocate for a change. I have an affinity symbol tattooed on my hand for talking point. Sounds like a bit of a tit himself. The guy is a tosspot. What's the need to even put that out there? Exactly. Anderson is far more appealing than a Belaber. Ryan, I agree with you, buddy, completely. What a novice. Look, people are going to be awful, right? I'm very, very thick-skinned. I'm not bothered. But look, guys, I absolutely love the fact you guys have my back as well. What people don't get, I think, when they come into this chat is I think that this is a community, right? I know people go, oh, but it is, right? The one good thing about this channel being smaller and having the same people come back to it is because you guys come into it, and that is exactly the thing, Ryan. We're talking about football. Sometimes we will move away from it. I think the fact that when Ray puts in something that is to do with men, and look, I'm not discriminating here against females and men's. I think there are some topics that are close to my heart that I will pull rank and I will always bring into the show. Men's health. And I know it's uncomfortable to talk about at times. I think we have to deviate at times and talk about that. I didn't think I'd be talking about it at 1:30, but as we say, it doesn't discriminate. Doesn't discriminate against the time or place. But at the end of the day, this is about football. This is about chilling out, but it's important that we acknowledge each other as well. He got his comment in, and now he's playing with his his chipolata. I reckon it makes himself feel better, right? It is what it is. So look, the other thing I wanted to say as well is this. So look, we were talking about or don't mess with JB's tripod, mate. It will slap you in the face. The other thing I wanted to mention, and again, Fabrizio has mentioned it as well, right? I'm not calling him out on this particular thing, but this basically has come from him. So one of the spin pieces coming out was that United were looking to make an offer on a player, and then at the last second they pulled out, right? So when you're like, I don't know, 17 years old, you're with a lady, you get excited, it's all good, and then at the last second you pull out. It's important. Sometimes pulling out of stuff is a good thing, right? Pulling out of car parking spaces, you've got to pull out of a car parking space. When you're doing that, pulling out sometimes is important as well, right? We should not be, and there are also some things you should not pull out of, and you should not pull out of a deal, right? United should not be pulling out of deals. It is, it's true that it's quite important sometimes to put things in, sometimes to put things out, right? On this occasion, this channel is getting pretty spicy. Well, look, we don't hide away. We don't hide away from topics, right? So look, fucking hell. So United pulled out of a deal. Leave it in there for a little bit. Yeah, it's true. Just leave it in there. We don't do exactly. We just leave it in the chat. We leave it in and we see what fucking happens. So all week it's been told, and we've been told that United we were gonna make this deal. It was going to be a good deal, and at the last second we said no. That has been put out there all week for spin. Exactly. Cream pie style. Everyone's been saying, oh, is it Belieber? Is it an Anderson? Is it a Stieler? Exactly. Look, sometimes you've got to finish. Sometimes you've got to finish. Sometimes you leave it in there and you regret it. Sometimes you leave it in there, regret it, and then you got to pay for it for the rest of your life, or at least for 18 years anyway. It happens, but sometimes you pull out. Sometimes it's better. Sometimes you leave it in. Sometimes you get like a happy surprise. This time we decided not to leave it in. We decided to pull it out. And also what we then decided to do after we pulled it out, we decided to lie about it, and we decided to say, oh yeah, it was this really massive thing. We pulled out because we had to, because it was too big, it was too expensive. Exactly, Scott. Jesus Christ. It's true, Scott. But I can reveal to you, well, not exclusively, I can reveal to you exclusively revealed by the exclusive Fabrizio Romano, that the player, this big deal that all the other channels were banging on about, that all the papers were talking about, Anderson, Belieber, and Wharton, the deal was for Ndidi. Ndidi was the deal. Ndidi was the deal. The play was keen on the move. It was going to be a low cost move, and it didn't happen. United pulled out. I thought that club submitted deal sheets during the window, yes, but the point is here is that during the window, that at the last minute, thanks, buddy. No, Ray, mate, mate, Ray, all good, buddy. Send stuff to the email address. That's what it's there for. It's not my personal email. It is the channel's email. So look, mate, I am the only person that looks at that as well. So feel free to send me stuff. As long as it ain't pictures of your junk, I don't mind. But no, look, Ray, yeah, it's all good, mate. The last day, there was a story out there from everybody basically saying that United were going to put in a deal, and it's been reported today because we're distancing ourselves away. Distancing, mate. I've got yeah. Can you imagine on stream a tape measure? No. But the player I can reveal to you, who was the player in question, was Ndidi. Ndidi was the player that United pulled out of and would not get the deal done. Jimmy sees Ray's going to be sending stuff by postal. Well, look, Jesus Christ. It's all good, but yeah, Ndidi was that deal. So Ndidi was at Leicester City when it, yes, exactly right, it is that. Ndidi, look, Ndidi, would I have minded him on a cheap deal? Send a photo of trash like a City shirt and add my junk. Exactly. It will go into junk mail. Honestly, you lot are animals. Yeah. So Ndidi, would I've said no to Ndidi? I would have said no to P Diddy, but to Ndidi, I wouldn't have said no to him. I think we needed bodies in there. I think we do need bodies. What have I started? Soggy envelope. Oh Jimmy, I would expect it to be in a Ziploc bag. At least if you're going to send me that sort of stuff, put it in like a watertight Ziploc bag. Because there's nothing worse than getting a Shaf says, I hate United, I hate Penaldo, I hate Roy Keane. That is a lot of hate. That's a lot of hate for a Thursday. That is a lot of hate for Thursday. Well, did he comment, JB, get in there nice and deep? Well, you know, just taking inspiration from Diddy, mate. I hate United. Then Shaf, like, what, why are you on here then, mate? Like, I appreciate you being. I know. I don't get it. I don't get it. How many trophies will Arsenal win this year? We love you, Leeds. We love you, Leeds. We love you, Leeds. Cool. How many trophies will Arsenal win this year? I think they'll win the Premier League. I do. As much as it pains me, and it does pain me to say it, I think Arsenal will win the league this year. The veiled dig at that, by the way, sorry, and look, the veiled dig I am going to have at that is Arsenal. I think will win the league, but I think Arsenal will win the league on the basis that everyone else is so shit. I don't think they're going to win the league because they're the best of the best of the best. I think they'll win the league because everyone else is shit. Whether or not Arsenal will win the league because they're the best team, they will be. But I think that they'll win the league because everyone else is shit. So I think they'll win the Premier League, but just because everyone else is shit. Good morning, JB, Jamie Vargas, legend. United 3, Tottenham 1. Love the shirt. Where can I obtain one? So there's a club called Club Retro. And I don't know if they ship to the States, but I get all of my shirts from there. So in this round of shirts, I got this one, I got the blue one, and I got you may not have seen it, but I love it. You might have seen it yesterday, but I got this one as well. I got this shirt. Love it. So I'm going through buying my old school shirts that I had. Check them out. And honestly, I'm not sponsored by them. I don't get any cash from them at all. I cannot recommend the site enough. I'm not looking to get sponsorship. I genuinely cannot recommend them enough. I mean, whenever I get my shirts, you normally buy one, you buy two, get one free. So it ends up being about £84 for 3 shirts, which, and also the bonus for me for that is I don't have to buy them from the club. So that's probably one of the biggest things for me that stopped me from buying these shirts in the past, was I didn't want to give any money to the club. Arsenal 7047. Those shirts are badass, hobnobs. So using the logic you're saying, I'm winning the league because everyone is so shit. Well, look, mate. Arsenal, I'm kidding, buddy. I'm joking. If Arsenal win the league this season, there is no other reason than Arsenal are the best team. But if United, and I've said this before, right? If United get top 4 this season, part of it is because everybody else has been so shit. I will have this debate with anybody, right? Arsenal, if United were in a different season, in the form that they're in now, United would not be getting top 4. It's only by virtue of the fact that everybody else I won't Arsenal, I won't. It's only by the virtue that everybody else this season is so inconsistent. If Chelsea were consistent, if Liverpool were consistent, obviously if everybody else was consistent, United would be getting nowhere near that top 6. But Arsenal, you're right, it doesn't matter. Even in a season that I think is a poor season, nobody's really consistent. So if Arsenal are the most consistent in this season and they win the league, then they deserve to win the league. My only problem at Arsenal with that is AFTV. Fucking hell. Look, I am kidding. But look, if Arsenal win the league, then they deserve it. He also says, don't forget our trouble. Look, mate, Arsenal, if Arsenal do the treble, I will not renege on that. I will wear an Arsenal shirt and I will come with you to the parade. That is what I've committed. That is what I've said, and that is exactly what I will do because I am a man of my word. But Arsenal, legend of the channel as well. So Butlers FC versus Michael Fergie JFC. We're going to win. Worst thing about Arsenal is AFTV. Why has United gone downhill since Fergie? United were going down before Fergie, mate. It's a long, complex thing to get into, but look, primarily the reason why United looked like they were keeping afloat before Fergie, because the Glazers have been taking money out of this club, right? The reason why it's drastically gone downhill is because basically the club is a shit show. They've spent money badly. The managers they've had weren't great. The money that they did spend was awful. They've taken a load of money out of the club. They've hired the wrong people. The club has been run into the ground. David Gill left at the same time. So anything that basically made United and successful when Ferguson left went as well. When you basically have an era, and I'm talking managers, coaches, CEOs, all go, that's what happens. Go get Harry Maguire. 2011 was the title winning side. Worse than some sides we had without winning a title, but we didn't care. Exactly. I think the management has listened to you, and if he doesn't, he'll come on stream with a top one like we agreed. Exactly. AFTV moaning that the team is performing rubbish and style of play is boring. Were the top of the league, of the UCL, and in the cups, and still complaining. And and I'm not talking about Arsenal on here because we do get some good Arsenal fans, and I'm not talking necessarily about Arsenal 7047. I know some good Arsenal fans as well, right? I do. AFTV, I don't get it. I find AFTV arrogant as fuck. And the reason why I do is look, it is nobody's right, and I've had it on here, and I've had to correct somebody on here. It is not someone's right. It's not our right to win a league. And look, I've loved the battles with Wenger, right? I think Arsenal over the years, those games have been some of the best. But I don't understand why AFTV and some of that fan base are behaving like Arsenal win the league or won the league consistently over the last 30 odd years. They haven't. Doesn't mean that they haven't deserved to win the league. Doesn't mean that they've not had league winning sides. The only bit I don't get with those sets of fans is why they're behaving like they've always won leagues. Like they've consistently won leagues from 1990 all the way through to now. They've won 4 leagues? Was 1990 was Arsenal, wasn't it? So 91, 92 was Leeds. 1991 was Arsenal. And then they won it 3 times under Wenger. So what, they've won it 4 or 5 times in the last 30 years, maybe 4 times. And look, that's not a dig, by the way, at all. Arsenal's still a fantastic side. I just don't get the bit for me why AFTV, and I know they don't represent a lot of fans, but why they're particularly arrogant as to why they're moaning that the style of play is not like prime Arsenal or not like prime I don't know, someone else. But yet the top of the league, they deserve to be top of the league. Champions League, they deserve to be that as well. But then they behave like you need more than that. Don't get it. Don't get it. And you have 700 million fans all over the world. Whoever win this league, it would be only for a while. If United get to the top 3, it is a big, big thing to discuss. Moyes had less time than Amorim. I think Moyes is actually a good manager. I don't disagree. I don't disagree, Sham. I just think that David Moyes was the wrong choice. I do, and I'll tell you what I've always thought about Moyes. Before I go, I'll tell you what I always thought about Moyes. Right? Is I think Moyes is a bloody good coach. Right? But when you bring in a manager who's never won anything, and when I mean this, I mean you're bringing David Moyes into Ryan Giggs, Evra, Vidic, Van Persie, De Gea. I can't remember like who else was there, but a team that has just won the title. Some of them have won the treble, and you're expecting David Moyes to tell people to win a league, who've just won a league, how to win a league when you've never won it yourself. Now, I don't necessarily always prescribe to that, but this club needed someone of authority. Look, imagine this: if you work in a, I don't know, if you're a lawyer, right, and you've been lawyering for 10 years, you've seen it all, you've done it all, you've been there, and you're an expert, right? And then someone says to you, "Oh, look, we're going to bring in a new partner, who's, your boss, and they've never worked in your industry. They've never done the same things that you've done. You're more of an expert than they are. They come in, and then they're trying to tell you to do something that you've already done several times. You've just won the thing. You've just done the thing." Also, as well, David Moyes cleared out the staff, as SS Red has said there. He went in, cleared out the staff, so he retained no experience. David Moyes from the start, and I'm not necessarily blaming him, but the approach was completely wrong. So I think David Moyes was a disaster. I do, and not of his own volition, not of his own error. I think it was just allowed to make too many changes at once, and I think it just impacted him. Did you see Arnrick's goal? I want him at United so bad. I did, but again, I don't see Spotify how one goal makes a play good. But look, again, Arnrick, from what I've seen of him, I like him. I think his price would need to come down for me. Moyes is a good coach at a certain level, and was near impossible for him to follow in Sir Alex's shoes. The mistake Moyes made was clearing out all the staff of his own. Just had to assume Fergie's seat for a while and slowly change it. I agree with you. Hello, Superliga favourite teams: Fenerbahce, Besiktas, Galatasaray. I mean, the thing is I don't have a dog in that fight, right? I would probably say Galatasaray for me are not my favourite team, but I just know them from a long time ago. So for me, Galatasaray will be the one that I know the most, because those were the first Turkish team that I really saw. Moyes didn't exactly. Moyes exactly towards the end. Turkish. Basically, Ferguson just used to let his coaches coach. So So look, guys, I'm going to go. I'm going to get back to work. But look, you guys, legends. Appreciate it. You guys. As I said, I know we got a little bit, personal towards the bit, but look, it's always important to acknowledge you guys. You guys are the channel. without you guys, this channel doesn't exist. So when you come up with topics and things that are important to you, particularly on things like men's health and whatever else, it's really, really important, I think, to talk about. We may not always talk about it in that part, but I think there are things that have to be said. But look, guys, look, legends, you guys are absolute quality. This show was a little bit saucy as well, a little bit spicy. Doesn't matter. I will be back this evening, so look, bring in your spicy talk tonight. I'll be doing a late show tonight about 9:30 tonight as well. So Thursday is the Thursday night show. Brown Knight says, what did I miss? Brown Knight, the whole bloody show, mate. No. But I will be back this evening, 9:30, for a late show. So bring in your spicy. Oh, you spoiled it there, mate. You spoiled it there, mate. We don't discriminate on here, buddy. It doesn't matter who you think is your god. Everything from Harry Krishna to Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't care. So look, legends of this channel. I will be back tonight at 9:30. Again, thank you for the support, guys. You guys are legends. Have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. JB looking saucy. This shirt is spicy. This is a spicy shirt, this one. Legend. Pivot out, guys. So yeah, join me at 9:30 tonight. I'm bringing you, 9:30 is your show. I'll come in with a topic. Come in with whatever you like. Just do it. See you in a bit, guys. Take care.